Hello, this is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. I am your host of this motivational and inspirational podcast. And today's book of the Bible, First Chronicles. First Chronicles is the 13th book of the Old Testament. The author of these Chronicles, both 1 and 2, were recognized with Ezra through Nehemiah. The book speaks of the generations from Adam to King Saul and the death of Saul to the reigning of David, King David. Its meaning is to find comfort and hope to the people of God who are or were tempted to do wrong. Now, as I was reading through, the First Chronicle encompasses the positive attributes of 40 years during David's reign as king. And the Chronicles was also the last book of the Hebrew Bible. Another factor I did not know. Its main purpose is to summarize or to bring about the events, the history, and the records of the timelines of these events. And both it was a storytelling as well as a historical writing. Very interesting to know. As we listen to or have read ourselves, the Chronicles, it has a lot of kings that are mentioned, as well as the generations, their children, and all. And this was God's, to me, census of his people, the leadership, and who they were reigning over. And throughout the word or throughout the Chronicles, you will hear the names of the different kings or the different ones that God had pointed out and what their purposes were and what they were supposed to do and how they were to overcome. Again, God had his hand upon his people throughout the generations from Genesis up to this point. God never left Israel. Although Israel on many occasions had left God, God never left them. And although he tried to teach them lessons by putting them in the hands of other people under other kings, because they were just a rebellious group of people, no matter how much God have shown his love to them, no matter how many times God has come to their rescue, getting them out of some very dangerous and trying times, they always manage to go back to their old ways of doing things. And if I remember stating before, it's easy to go back to the things you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Or do know. I'm sorry. It's easier to go back to the things that you do know. It's harder to do or to continue on with the things that you're unfamiliar with. And the reasons why that is comfortable. It's the comfort zone. It's easy to say that I'm going to get up and I'm going to exercise and I'm going to get this weight off from me. In the first few days, maybe a week or two, you do okay. But then those temptations come back. Those things that are familiar to you. Often just kind of, well, I'll just take this one cookie today. It's not going to hurt me. Ooh, that cookie was so good. I'll have another. I can cheat a little bit. And then there's another. And before you realize, you done ate the whole package of cookies. And it's easy to fall back into your old routine of doing things because it's comfortable for you. It's something that you know. And in the cases of the children of Israel and their way of going back and getting graven images and worshiping Baal, it was easier for them to do. Because with God, there's work to do. To lose weight, there's work. You have to sacrifice things. You have to limit yourself. You have to exercise. There is hard work that goes into losing weight. And just like with the children of Israel, those lands, that promised land wasn't just given to them. They had to earn it. They had to work for it. And when we find ourselves, even in our spiritual walks today, there are days where you just say, you know what? Is it even worth it? Is this worth me going through? It seems like that no matter what I do, nothing is working. I am doing this and I'm sticking with it. I'm being faithful with it. I'm walking with God. I'm praying to God. I'm reading the word. And it just seemed like nothing is moving fast enough. And we have to learn that God works in the background. Then when God do speak to us, he comes to us however he comes to us to do something, then there's work to do. And you feel like, hey, I've already been working. Now you asking me to do more work? And then you get to that frame of mind. It was easier for me to sin. Yeah, it is easier for you to sin. But the consequences are so great. And this is where these chronicles point out all of what has happened, the events that had transpired, and what all Israel and the kings and different ones had to do. But nevertheless, God did not allow them to sin against him. He still smoked them. I read where, someone touched the ark of God, which I later found out the ark of God was the templates, the laws. And when he touched them, God smoked them right then and there. He just killed them. There was no grievances. There was no offerings made, burnt offerings, sacrifice. It wasn't God just killed them. God did not play. And when we learn about all that has happened in the Chronicles, from the reignment of different kings to what they did, whether they led Israel in the right way or the wrong way, this where it's all created. And the divisions were created because everyone had their own way of doing things. So the book of the Bible today is First Chronicles. It is the 13th book of the Old Testament. It is the overall summary of what the reigning of kings and the generations and the events that had taken place throughout the First Chronicles. This is Kim with Standing on Solid Ground. You have yourself a wonderful and blessed day.